Pardon, you can't even let me speak, you idiot. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can you speak, you fucking idiot?
On that one. Hey, you guys are so dumb.
Yeah.
You think I made only 16
Yeah, you got 16 more.
28 million followers, a $202,850. McLaren, a Las Vegas wedding, live streamed to 15 million people. Then a mugshot posted to Instagram with the caption, "First day out." Bond set at $3,500. Released in under 24 hours and immediately back online, filming the NBC News crew waiting outside the jail, announcing an upcoming shoot with 6ix9ine, and telling his audience he ran that jail. This is not one bad decision. This is a pattern that built across nearly a decade, escalated at every stage, and finally reached a point where the consequences followed him into a jail cell and still did not register. Jack Doherty posted his first YouTube video in 2016 flipping markers. That clip eventually accumulated 29 million views. In 2017, a water bottle flipping video went viral and pushed him into mainstream YouTube. The content was harmless. The audience was growing fast. The energy was relatable. Then the formula changed. Object flipping became public pranks. Pranks became provocations. The pattern that took shape was consistent. Find strangers in public, escalate the situation, let security step in, and capture every second of it on camera. Video titles like, "I accidentally started a riot and someone stole my Lamborghini" are not accidental. They are the brand. By his early 20s, Doherty had accumulated over 15 million YouTube subscribers, 10 million on TikTok, and 3 million on Instagram. The first documented moment where real-world consequences became visible arrived in October 2023 at David Dobrik's Halloween party in Los Angeles. A verbal altercation escalated when Doherty's bodyguard allegedly punched a guest. Doherty's response was not to step back from the situation, it was to live stream it and repost the footage as content. A lawsuit followed in February 2024, citing assault, battery, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Real harm had occurred and was immediately converted into a highlight reel. The pattern was already set long before the McLaren, the wedding, and the arrest. October 2024. Doherty is driving his $202,850 McLaren 570S on a rainy Miami highway, live streaming on Kick. The stream captures him looking down at his phone. The car hydroplanes and slams into a guardrail. Cameraman Michael sustains head injuries that require stitches. Doherty steps out of the car, and his first documented words are, "All my money's gone." Kick banned him from the platform. Florida Highway Patrol cited him for using a wireless communication device while driving. Reports placed his speed at approximately 71 miles per hour in wet conditions while reading live chat. Someone was bleeding. Someone needed stitches. And the first documented concern expressed on camera was about the vehicle. His response to the cameraman, a jet ski, offered as an apology, with an admission that the crash was his fault. His response to public criticism, "You guys have never drove a McLaren." Then, while the backlash was still active, he went on a live stream and asked his audience for money to cover the losses. The audience did not forget any of it. Something shifted in how people watched. It was no longer entertainment, it was documentation. People stopped watching to cheer and started watching to see what would break next. The comments changed tone. The reaction changed character. And that shift never reversed. Jack Doherty met McKinley Richardson through mutual friends in Los Angeles in early 2023. His opening line, according to her later account, was, "You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. I know you're my wife, because my wife would never do OnlyFans." What followed was, by Richardson's account, an intense love-bombing phase. Constant attention, affection, dinners, protection, and a sense of being valued. She later described the beginning of the relationship. "He was amazing in the beginning. He was a protector, a provider, someone that had respect for me." She maintained clear personal boundaries, including a firm refusal to join OnlyFans, and believed that the person she was getting to know privately was genuinely different from the online persona she had observed. For a period, she was right. Then things changed. November 2024, a non-legally binding Las Vegas ceremony, live streamed to 15 million of his followers. At the altar, Doherty produced a prenup and read it aloud on camera. "Shawty gets absolutely nothing when I divorce her, even if I cheat. If she cheats, she ought..."
We're not hiding anywhere. Like, we were in a party bus, like, very out in the open. And I was sitting in my seat, every type of thing, freaking out, so much anxiety. And then I hear the car door open. And I pop my head up, and I'm like, okay, everyone's back, like, finally time to go. When I looked up from the seat, I make eye contact with the guy. I'd never seen before, any surgical mask. Like, it wasn't the two guys in shiesties that I had seen. It was a guy with a bag, a gun.
Automatically owes me $10 million. I'll also receive 100% of her OF revenue moving forward, even if we divorce.
Into the van. And in this van, like, you're able to stand up fully straight up. He started running towards me, and I was like, I'm dead. Like, this is the time I either get killed or something horrible. And I just remember saying, please, no. I just was begging him. I was like, you can have everything, of mine. You can have my purse, you can have my money. I couldn't find my purse anywhere. I was like, where the fuck is it? I was like, please help me find.
He added that she could not speak to another man for 250 years and would still have to cook, clean, and do my laundry. Richardson's father was made to stand center stage while those vows were read aloud in front of a live audience of millions. He cried after they left the venue, saying, "That was so humiliating." On camera, when her family departed, Doherty said, "Thank God they are gone." Richardson later recalled, "They are the sweetest people ever. That killed me." May 2025. Doherty confirmed the split publicly, after viewers noticed Richardson had disappeared entirely from his content. October 2025. McKinley Richardson sat down with Camila Araujo for a two-part podcast. Araujo addressed the monetization question immediately. "There will be no monetization off of this podcast. There will be no AdSense. I do not want to make a dime off of McKinley's story." After hearing the full account, Araujo described her reaction. She didn't just go through a bad breakup. She went through emotional abuse. The details Richardson shared were specific and extensive, covering multiple incidents across the relationship. On OnlyFans. When Richardson refused to join the platform, Doherty's associate told her to F.K. your morals. She later learned through a friend that Doherty had told others there was no reason for them to be together if she wasn't helping. She was then surrounded by Doherty and members of his team and pressured to sign a contract, one that gave him control over her TikTok, Instagram, and a percentage of her future earnings. When she hesitated, she was told, just sign it, that it meant nothing and could be changed later. After she signed, the affection, dinners, and attention that had defined the early phase of the relationship disappeared. A dinner, you could forget about it. We never went on dates. He was strictly just constant content. On Adderall, Richardson alleged that Doherty frequently misused the substance, mixing it with alcohol, and pushed the same pace onto everyone around him, including her. "I had a horrible Adderall addiction dating him because of him telling me I needed to keep up with him. The schedule, the pressure, and the expectation to keep going regardless of what was happening became, according to her, the defining atmosphere of the relationship." On the golf cart crash. During a November 2023 live stream, a golf cart flipped with Richardson seated beside Doherty. Richardson's account. "He flipped an entire golf cart on top of me on purpose, and it was for content. The cart rolled onto her side, striking her neck and spine directly. My back was so bruised, my spine was swollen, and the pain was unbearable." Rather than take her to a hospital, Doherty allegedly had prior obligations to go on a yacht with Antonio Brown, NFL wide receiver, and left her waiting in a Sprinter van while he attended the yacht outing. His cameraman was furious and urged her to seek medical attention herself. When Doherty eventually arrived at the hospital, his camera was still rolling. "I was so embarrassed. He was filming everything, and I just wanted to be left alone." She was bedridden for a week. His documented follow-up response. He purchased a new golf cart the next day and filmed a video surprising her with it. It was all just content to him. On the robbery. At an August takeover event in Los Angeles, crowds, street racing, general chaos, Richardson stayed behind on the tour bus. Something felt wrong. A stranger wearing a surgical mask boarded the bus. Richardson later described the moment. "I'm dead. Like this is the time I either get killed or something horrible." Her belongings were taken. She begged, "You can have everything. You can have my purse. You can have my money." When she called Doherty afterward, shaken and frightened, he filmed the call. She asked him to stop filming. He didn't. On the pregnancy. When Richardson tested positive on a pregnancy test, Doherty's documented response, per her account, moved immediately to revenue strategy. He couldn't wait for the money. He said the whole family's YouTube channel would go wild. It wasn't because he was excited to have a baby with me and have a family and have start a new era of our life. It was, "Oh my gosh, we're going to start a family YouTube channel." She described his response to her fears about stability, jokes about cheating, and smoke allegedly blown in her face while she was pregnant. He said, "I was trapped." He mentioned no one would be with me if I were pregnant with his child. Richardson made the decision not to continue the pregnancy. It had nothing to do with the family. It had to do with control. On the assault allegation, Richardson alleged that one of Doherty's longtime friends sexually assaulted her while she slept. She woke to find his hand in her clothing and was paralyzed with fear. Doherty, according to her account, cried, apologized, confronted the friend, and ended the friendship. Months later, the friend apparently messaged Doherty accepting responsibility. Police body cam footage later emerged showing Camila Araujo speaking to officers while Richardson hid in a car Doherty did not recognize to avoid being seen. Araujo told the officers, "I'm the friend. She's right there in a different car waiting." The footage, combined with Richardson's account, documents conditions that were entirely removed from anything visible in Doherty's public content. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available at 1-800-799-SAFE7233 or by texting START to 88788. Every public controversy connected to Jack Doherty across this period traces back to the same logic: visibility at any cost. At TwitchCon, he attempted to enter using a woman to distract security and was quietly removed. Public confrontations followed. Soulja Boy questioned him directly about crypto allegations. Creator Cam Joseph confronted him in front of a crowd, and both moments spread online. When Peach Jars called him out, she walked away without engaging. Her silence landed harder than any confrontation could have. The attempt to fake a robbery added another layer. It went public, spiraled into actual police involvement, and read to most people watching as staged. The outcome appeared to matter more than the reality of what was happening. The comment sections across his platforms shifted tone completely. Where there had once been enthusiasm, there was now a different kind of attention. Comments like, "Every day when Jack is having a bad day is a good day," do not emerge from nowhere. They build slowly, event by event, across years of documented decisions. The 14th of November, 2025, Miami Beach. Doherty stepped into the middle of Washington Avenue to film content for a bet, blocking active traffic. Officers from the Miami Beach Police Department instructed him multiple times to clear the road. His documented response: "Once I'm done with this bet." He was arrested. A search of his pockets found half an orange, oval-shaped pill consistent with a Schedule II amphetamine and 3 suspected cannabis cigarettes. He was charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and resisting an officer without violence. Bond was set at $3,500. The Miami Beach Police Department issued a public statement. "Our officers will continue to take proactive enforcement action against behavior that endangers motorists, residents, or visitors, and will hold all individuals accountable under the law, regardless of their celebrity status." He was released in under 24 hours. The response was immediate. Mugshot posted to Instagram with the caption, "First day out." Footage of jail acquaintances filmed and uploaded, a claim that he ran that jail, and a public announcement of an upcoming shoot with 6ix9in. The NBC News crew waiting outside the jail was pointed out on camera. No pause, no reflection. The exact same pattern continued from inside the jail to the moment he walked out. From 2016 to 2025, every documented escalation in Jack Doherty's career follows a single consistent calculation. Whatever generates attention moves forward, regardless of who it affects or what it costs. Marker flipping became public altercations. Public altercations became a crash that left a cameraman bleeding. That became a Las Vegas ceremony that humiliated a family in front of millions. That became a drug arrest, treated as a content opportunity by the following morning. Each level required something more extreme than the last to produce the same size reaction. The audience that once watched to enjoy the content has been replaced by an audience watching to document the next collapse. That transition is not recoverable through a new upload or a public statement. It reflects a fundamental shift in how the platform perceives the person behind it. Legal consequences from the November 2025 arrest remain pending, with a court date scheduled. The domestic violence allegations and police body cam footage have not been publicly addressed. Richardson's detailed claims across the two-part podcast have received no full public response. In the absence of that response, the record that exists is the one that stands, and it is extensive. The question that remains is not what Jack Doherty does next. The question is whether there is an audience left that is watching for any reason other than to see what finally stops him.